Okay, so military coup happened in Niger, also happened in other African countries. Countries recently had military coup. So, military coup, what kind of color should I use? Bad? Red? Red? Okay. So we have one in Guinea-Bissau. Niger, you deserve a big one. Mauritania had one. Madagascar had one. Guinea has one. Okay, so all in the past 14, 15 months. So Africa has a lot of military coup. And in addition, right, countries with military coup, a lot of, before Nigeria, countries like Burkina Faso has 6 before. I'm running out of the red color. Countries like Cote d'Ivoire recently. So West Africa, very popular military coup. Lots of people welcome military coup. Okay, in Taiwan, I don't know about you, but in Africa, people actually went to receive them wholeheartedly, saying, "Thank God you're helping us away from this dictator or autocrat." So we're going to read this first chapter. This should not happen in your university. Your university is Tsinghua. Okay. This reminds me of amusement park. There is a runaway train. This is a runaway mouse. Huh? Wow. Page 50, 60 going up. Cannot stop it. Just change it into the middle.
Click somewhere else. Yes, click somewhere else.
Okay. So why don't we start with this? Most of you have this anyway. So we will start with Huang Yixian. Okay. Do you have the first chapter? First reading, Niger capital is calm. Okay. After coup. Okay. Junta. Junta.
That over the president of Niger began asserting his authority on Friday, amid signs of public support within the country and the condemnation from abroad.
Okay, so military junta usually is talking about group of officers together, right? Had this military coup, and then they set up a temporary government we call junta. Junta, 军事执政团. Okay, junta. Overthrew the president and then asserting. Okay, assert, what do you mean by assert? Means in control, making sure they are having authority. Asserting means putting in their authority. Great word for ladies, assert. Okay? Sometimes people will say, hey, you need to be more aggressive. Have you heard of that term, aggressive? Okay, but sometimes when ladies, people describe ladies with aggressive, that's not good. It's like, oh, she is threatening, aggressive. So if you do something, people say, don't be so aggressive. You said, no, I'm not aggressive. I am just assertive. Okay, assertive, I'm protecting myself. I am, making sure this is what I need to do. But aggressive is like a little bit threatening. Okay, so next time, ladies, for example, if you insist, that your boyfriend need to do something, the boyfriend said, oh, you're too aggressive, you should not do this. You say, no, I'm just assertive. Okay, so that's a good word. So here, they have public support within the country and condemnation from abroad. Why? A military coup. Domestically, people support. Internationally, everybody will say, bad. Okay, so we want to find out why. Why such a contradiction? I need to bring this with me. Yang Jiaxing. Okay, you have the reading. Next paragraph. Mama do. Mama do, 就是 Mama do something. Mama do. Okay. Tenja. Autocracy. Okay, so tanks. A military coup. Usually they show tanks to assert their power, right? And what else? If you are helping part of the military coup, okay, what else do you need to show you are in control? What else do you do? Just show people the tank. What else? I'm teaching you, if you want to start a coup, what need to do? What do you need to do? Okay, first of all, take over television stations. Okay, but in Taiwan it would be difficult. Too many television stations. Okay, because you want to broadcast saying, I am in control. The president is gone. But you announce it on TVBS, but other stations. You have to be in Taiwan, it's a bit difficult. But third world country have very few television stations or radio, right? In Taiwan, we have underground radio, so very difficult. But you control, we call it the air, television or radio. Also, you control the other airport, 空港. 空港叫机场, okay. So that the president or other people cannot escape, right? So that's the first thing you do, you announce. And so also strategic locations, like maybe, military moving bridges coming in. So those we call. And then the presidential assault. Assault means attack on the presidential palace, right? President being removed. But this president, Tenja, has turned himself toward autocracy. What do you mean by autocracy? Okay, the opposite of democracy. So we have autocracy now. We have people, terms here, everybody loves democracy. Democracy means what? What is crazy? When in the 100 years ago, when May 4th movement came to China, how do we call democracy? 德摩克拉西是吧？德摩这个摩。Now, what do you mean by crazy? Rule. Okay, so rule by, you have to read it this way. Okay, demo, people. Okay. Now, aristocracy. This means not Aristotle is ruling. Okay, but aristo means few. Okay, few people are ruling. Okay, but if it's only one, autocracy. And then we have others, plutocracy. What is plutocracy? Rule by money. Rich people ruling. Okay? And then we also have countries like the mob is ruling mobocracy. 这叫什么？群众啊，暴民统治。Okay, mobocracy. So ruled by people, ruled by one, ruled by few. Okay. So that's autocracy. Becoming more, sometimes autocracy, we can use another word. What would be another word for autocracy? Autocrat. Some people call autocrat a dictator. Or some people will call them a tyrant. Okay? Dictator and autocrat are not necessarily bad. But tyrant is bad. Really bad. Tyrant. Yeah. T-Y, tyrant. Dictator. Tyrant. Yeah. T-Y-R-A-N-T. Okay. Then there is another one. Some people, we use authoritarianism. Authoritarian. Okay. Ruler. Authoritarianism. Okay. 威权、独裁、暴君 autocrat 专权 okay something okay. So you love these people Tanja finally okay what happened a new mouse hey this is not the one This one has not been recovered, huh? Oh, okay, not too bad. Okay. Lin Youron. Yeah, next. Tanja. Barracks. Kaka. Oh, Kaka. Kaka 女生 Kaka. Okay, local journalists said he was in prison, means he has been captured and put in a military barracks. Okay, and barracks means where the military people stationed, 军营. A lot of time we use that term also for talking about the military saying they know how to intervene, but they don't know how to return to their barracks. You know, once they taste the power, they don't want to go back. So returning to the barracks, very important. Supporter of a ouster. Ouster means to oust the president, to get rid of him. Sometimes, you know, you also put the president in, you can have some choices. You can either kill the president, right? Because he's a dictator. He's supposed to be a tyrant. You know, did such a bad thing. So, some cases like 1980 in Liberia, they executed the president on the beach of the capital and televised. Wow, that's really bad. Okay, some of them we call bloodless coup. No blood is shed. Just saying, President, we're going to put you on a plane and go somewhere else. Okay, we call exile, right? But some countries are so big, you can put the president in an internal exile. You know, maybe here, you know, somewhere in the Saharan desert. Okay, internal exile. But other presidents will be put on house arrest. Some of those presidents, after military coup, for example, Gambia, the president was overthrown in 1994, but he returned 10 years later, at the age of 80s, returning from Great Britain. Another president being overthrown in Madagascar. He's in South Africa. Congo, the president lost, not in a coup, but civil war, went to exile in France. Idi Amin of Uganda, exile in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so most of the time, the African neighbors are very cooperative, saying, I will help you to solve this dilemma. You don't have a place to put him, well, let him come to my country. Okay, so that's why we keep having coup. Okay, so here, ousted, marching, people supporting the ousting or ouster march in the capital. They are saying situation is calm. By the way, that phrase is always used after military coup. 首都状况稳定，安静啊，非常平静。状况街上非常平静。Okay, so that the streets, always calm. And run radio station. Remember, this is important. You control the radio station. But this Kaka, who was jailed by the Niger government before, and now he said hundreds of them went to the street to show the support for coup. Okay. Now, if I am a military person, I look at the Niger situation, I said, wow, you get rid of a dictator or autocrat, people like you so much. So maybe I should get rid of my leader in Zimbabwe. Maybe I can do that as well. If no one support military coup, then you will not have what we call spillover effect. How to write? 有这样子写吗？波译啊，波出来嘛 ，spill 打翻了，这个波吗？Well, it's a term, okay? 波译 means just it's contagious. If this country had a military coup and the officer from another country said, "Hey, 顺何人也？于何人也？有为者亦若是." Right? So why don't we do the same thing? Okay, so Africa keep repeating itself in terms of military coup. Because people support it. Why people are supporting them? Because they are fed up with politicians. So then we have to question the fundamental quality of the democracy in Africa. Why every time you have democracy, you have civilians, you have election, and then all the civilians become power greedy, become corrupt, and then the military said, let's clean the house. Okay? Yeah, and then they keep coming back. Okay? Next one. Yang Ming-wen. Yeah. Just a second. I think we are cool enough. Do you need that one in the back? Do you need the phone? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I cannot hear. Start from very beginning. Ba.
Beginning.
Yeah. Body.
Every African Union, which had passed a resolution earlier this month to take a firmer stance against
Coup. Okay. No P sound. Coup. Just coup.
suspended
Niger.
Agents France press reported anything another layer of isolation to an already poor nation. Niger had previously been shown by its
dismantling
of the nation's democratic
institutions.
institutions, and some African Union officials said that whatever its aims should be viewed no different.
Okay, so it is interesting. Okay, before, not 2000, before, in the last century, in the 20th century, military coup took power in Africa, and people just said, "Oh, welcome aboard." In international meeting in Africa, "Oh, you're the new president of Chad. Okay, nice to meet you." But now African Union said, "No, we will not welcome this." So military coup cannot be accepted. If you have a military coup, your country will be isolated. Your membership in the African Union will be suspended, punishing you, saying, "We don't want this. We want election to change power. We don't want military coup to change power." But this year, a month earlier, January, okay, African Union also passed a new resolution 决议案, okay? So about what? Saying unconstitutional change of power, like you change the constitution to extend your term from 2 to 3 terms or unlimited terms to serve the president, also cannot be accepted. Okay, military coup cannot be accepted because it's not constitutional. You change the constitution to take power, it's also not constitutional. But we are getting rid of a dictator. So is this military coup different? Can we say, "Oh, this is a nice coup," right? Or that one is a bad coup? Or are military coup all bad? Okay, so I think this is the question. So here, they take stance against earlier, take the firmer stance against the coup, suspended Niger, and now, what is Agence France Presse? 法新社. Okay, that's the French BBC or the US CNN or AP, okay, Associated Press or UPI, right? 合众社、美联社这种新闻社. In Taiwan, what do we have? 台湾社没有 What's 中央社 哟 So China 中央社 But we have 他们是中央电台我们是中央社 Okay. No wonder people are confused. So here, this press reported that adding another layer of isolation to already poor country, Niger. Niger is the top 5 country as the poorest country in the world. Top 5. That's a good ranking. So I'm top 5 among the poorest country in the world. Okay. So very poor and isolation. Okay. Don't you think it's an isolating country? Very isolated country here, right? You say, "Wow, no, look at Niger. It's in the middle of Africa, but it's also in the middle of nowhere, right? All these are Sahara Desert. Okay, so it's pretty isolated. Look at all this African capital. Chad capital is here. Niger capital is here. Mali capital is here. Mauritania capital is. Everyone is in the southwest. Look at southwest, 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 southwest. It's almost like very close to the other country. So you can have internal exile somewhere. So isolated, and now you're being suspended of membership. But Niger, Shang. What is Shang? Ms. Yang, what is Shun? S-H-U-N? Shun is someone like you try to avoid. I think a few days ago, or last week, there was a KMT workers being accused having something problem with Tsinghua University student. Tsinghua always created yourself some news. Okay. So anyway, I think he is like a disease. People saw him, shun means shun away, means try to avoid. Okay, so Niger, people said, look at your democracy, so bad. So people shun away from this country because of what Niger did, dismantling. What do we mean by dismantling? Ms. Yang, what is dismantling? If you want to remodel your house, you have to dismantle the old structure or old parts. What do you mean by dismantle? Take down. 什么是 take something down? Like, we need to put, newer ceilings here. So you dismantle the old one. Take down. 拆掉. Dismantle what? He's demanding the national democratic institution. The parliament do not like his idea of extending the term. Say, okay, then I dissolve the parliament. The court, the justice, the constitutional court say, this is illegal, this is unconstitutional. They say, he suspended the constitutional judge. Okay, so that's why he is dismantling the democratic institution. In Taiwan, what would be our democratic institution? Our judicial branch, our media, those are all we call institutions, democratic institutions, check and balance. And now the Niger is getting rid of them. And some African officials still say, after the coup, say, you have noble cause, very noble. Right? Ms. Yang, what is noble cause? You said, I just killed my boyfriend. Oh, that's bad. Why you committed this? Oh, because my boyfriend cheated on me. That's a noble cause. 这样可以吗？理由够高尚吗？好像不行。Okay. No, but military coup. Say the president is such a dictator, so bad, we get rid of him, a noble cause. But the African Union said, you have a great reason to do it, but still, it should not be accepted. But then my question, Ms. Yang, what should they do? If you are Niger people, you said, I hope my parliament can have check and balance against the president, the parliament being dissolved. I hope our court, constitutional court, 宪法法庭, can do something the president ignore. So there is no way you can stop this guy. I'm a Nigerian. I'm so embarrassed by my president. So what do I do? Military coup. Or saying, no, you cannot do that. So just continue to sit there and suffer? What do you do? You say, oh, I'm going to have a hunger strike against this president. And you die, and no one will bury you. Huh? So what do you do? You say, I'm going to travel to the outside world and ask the international community to condemn the person. I'm sorry, you don't have money to go out. You're in the middle of nowhere. Huh? So do you have alternative but to support this military coup? So why will international community condemn? This is such a relief. This is almost like, what's the word? Salvation for 救赎主来了 for Niger. I mean, it's not that bad, but pretty bad situation. What do you do? What's your choice? Like in Taiwan, okay, do you remember a few years ago? We have a racial armies. Now, is that the only thing we can do? The president just say, oh, sorry, you're going to stick with me for the next year. I'm lucky to be here for 4 years, so you're going to be, stuck with me for 4 years. And I think that's what Taiwan did. Right? But here, this president just changed the constitution to have one more term and maybe forever. Okay, so we're going to look at how do we deal with this guy 罗美英，李玉璇。Okay, next. There is no.
There is not good or bad food. All of them are bad. The African Union's Peace and Security Commissioner,
Ramtane
Ramtane Lamara, said during a news conference at its headquarters in
Addis Ababa.
Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on Thursday. Once they happen, you have to condemn them with the same energy and same strength.
Okay, no good or bad food. All of them are equally bad. But I still have to say some are good. Some are. I mean, like this guy. You cannot get rid of him. Zimbabwe, right? The president of Zimbabwe, 86 years old, still in power, just celebrated his birthday, and just cannot get rid of him. In power for 30 years. So if there's a military coup, I think Washington, D.C. probably secretly say, what a good job. You did a good job, okay? But openly you say, oh, no, we don't approve coup, right? Secretly, maybe CIA funded those people. Who knows? Huh? So, but here, this is the question. Okay, African Union has a Peace and Security Council commission, and this commissioner said, during a news conference, said once they happen, you have to condemn. Okay, with the same energy and same strength, said no, thou shalt not do it. 像那个十诫 ，thou shalt not， 不可奸淫，不可偷窃，不可从事军事政变。Okay, the same thing. Okay, the same level of energy and strength. Okay, so let's see whether they are consistent or not. 张宇全有在吗？林若有 OK. Yeah, you have to raise your hand. The military junta. Major Salu Jibo. Supreme Council. Junta. Consultative. Ceased. Word freed. Okay, so here, intention. Why people staged a military coup? What's the intention? Very difficult. Some, like Gambia in 1994, you know why they did it? Because they were sent to Liberia as peacekeepers. And then they found out other countries, they compare notes. They found out other countries' military pay better. So they came home and said, we never realized we have been so poorly paid. They had a coup, and they get rid of the president. Okay, so do not send your military to peacekeeping operation, because then they compare notes. It's like if your girlfriend will never know how cheap you are until you have friends together, and then she compare notes. Oh, they went there to celebrate Valentine. This is where we celebrate Valentine, by having 哎，鲁爸爸，卤肉饭。Okay, so don't allow that opportunity to compare notes. 不要让人家有比较的机会。So that's one intention. Poorly paid. Okay, so that's one. Sometimes it's revenge. My group of people, like Ivory Coast, the presidential candidate from the north, say, I want to be president, but the South said, but you're Muslim, and how can we stop you? Oh, your mother was not born in Ivory Coast. She was from Burkina Faso. So you're not pure Ivorian. And so he was disqualified to run for president. So the northern military officer said, no, you should not deprive our people to have the opportunity to serve. So they started a military coup. Okay, so that's another one. So all kinds of intention we don't know, right? But makeup, what is makeup here? Makeup. 他们用什么样的化妆品吗？啊 No. Makeup is here is what? The people. Who are the people? Okay, making up this coup. Okay, it's not camouflage. Just makeup 组成啊。Who are the people? Yeah, behind this. Okay, so here. This mouse, where is it? Oh, here. Okay. Yeah, I know. Makeup here. Mystery. Okay, we don't know who are them. Several people said unknown junior. Okay, junior. What is a junior? Officers. What's senior officers and junior officers in military? Ms. Zhang, junior and senior officers. What would be a senior officers? 资深军官。Yeah, well, not 菜鸟, but okay. Yeah, not as 之前. Okay, but give me some rank. A senior officer will be what? Like a senior professor can be old professor, but also means a full professor, right? A junior faculty must be assistant professor. Okay, so what will be junior or senior officer in a military? Senior. I think it would be a general, okay? Some kind of general, right? 将领了, right? So remember, most of the time, there are a few exceptions, okay? But most of the time, it's junior officer that will stage a coup. Senior officers, they are the one who already have all the power and luxury they already have. They are not going to risk what they have for a coup. Okay, it's the one who are still ambitious, who still have some ambition about modernizing the country, who do not have a lot of resources. They are the one who are likely to start a military coup. Okay, so if you remember, 我们不叫做之前，我们叫做比较好听台湾 we have a 少壮派军人少壮派你们有 if you heard your department, some of the 少壮派教授 revolt against the old professors 少壮派 okay, so that's the one I think we use. So those officers are more likely to take up the coup. So a few years ago, our former president accused our former general trying to stage a soft coup in Taiwan. I'm not sure how many of you remember this. Our former president, Chen Shui-bian, one time said, some of the general from the KMT era tried to have a 柔性政变. And he accused some of the former general in their 70s. Those people are not going to stage a coup. They have a retired, they have monthly pay, right? 月退, they have big house. Why are they risking their life for a military coup? No, it's always the 少校, 上尉, 中校. Okay, once you are into the 上校, colonel, you feel, wow, I'm one step to stars, to general. You're not going to do anything risky. So that's why, okay, junior officers, look at the rank, major, right, 少校, right? Okay, Jibo here. He is of the SCRD. They always give this name, junta's name, Supreme Council for the Restoration of Democracy. What a good name, restoring democracy. Setting up a consultative council means 咨询委员会, getting some of the former ministers involved, okay, and they were being freed. So that's the nature of the coup. Next one, 林若凡. Oh, yeah, I received an email, I think. Okay, 黄哲清. 有在吗? 胡荣华. Okay, next. The junta. Okay, so here, anger of the former president was deep. People said enough is enough. But Tanja was there only for 10 years. I mean, compared to African leaders, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, he's just a little baby. No, he's in his 70 though, Okay, but people suffer deeply, and he, Kaka 女生, he hoped the junta will hold election, but people said, ooh, are you sure? People have doubts, reservation, 保留, 怀疑, not sure that they're going to have new elections. Okay. 陈云清. 对吗？念的 OK. Next one, still.阿吉苏lei阿吉呀，阿吉斯，阿吉。Sociology professor. Naomi. Regimes. Okay, so he said, this is not the best way to overthrow a government, a regime, right? This is a professor from sociology. Sociology, people say, oh, they study society. There is also a journal called Military Sociology, concentrating on military coup. So sociologists love to observe military coup as well. So he said, regime should not be changed like this. He ticking off, talking about all the numerous military coups Niger suffered before. But my question is, what is the choice? What's the other choice? If you, saying that's not the best way to overthrow the regime. So what do? You invite Nelson Mandela and then give this guy a moral talk, saying enough is enough. You should step down. Or, this is a Muslim country. Do you want to invite, a spiritual leader from Iran or from Saudi Arabia, to give the guy a talk saying Allah is not pleased? What do you do? How do you change? You say this is not the best way, but what's the best way? This is not the best way to overthrow a regime. Saying, okay, I will let you have all your assets in Swiss bank. Just step down. 可以这样子吗？你瑞士存的钱，我们都国际社会都不会去 freeze 冻结。Go. Okay. So I'm sorry. In Africa, if people step down on schedule in Africa, everybody say, "Wow, nice job! You actually step down." Because either they die or they go to prison. Right? So if they are willing to step down on time, on schedule, not to extend their term, they suddenly become statesmen. 哇，变成政治家了，有风范。Okay, I didn't do anything. I just finished my 2 terms. Right? Because that's very rare in Africa. Okay, let's take a break here. And still, you haven't answered me. What is the alternative? Okay, you don't like military coup. 正方. Yeah. Okay. You just a second. You're from the Chinese department. So, do we have military coup in Chinese history? We do. You understand military coup? Okay, so do we have that in Chinese history in terms of change of regime, change of government? In China, we call the change of dynasty. I mean, we cannot just allow all the foreigners to have this fun, right? Which dynasty? Someone with a yellow rope being put on. Zhao Kuang-yin. Which dynasty? Song dynasty. Is that a military coup or not? That's a military coup. He is from, we call the Pretoria. 这个是在罗马叫禁卫军。In China, what do we call? I think so. Those military stationed in the capital. What's the Chinese word? 御林军. Okay, yeah, similar. But also you have to remember, I think Zhao Kuang-yi overthrew which dynasty? Oh, Tang dynasty. Tang Song. No. Okay, good. You're thinking now. Okay. What is it? 大食国. 大食国是 Arabic. Wow. Song dynasty actually overthrew a Arabic dynasty called 大食. Big food. 五代十国. 哪一国还是哪一代? Yeah, but we always said there is an orthodox 正统, right? Obviously, 李后主好像不是正统. Okay. So which dynasty? We're talking about the 5 dynasty. This should be an easy answer, maybe in 正大, but in 清大 it's a little bit difficult, I know, but still, can anyone help you? 周, 后周, 周, okay, 周 dynasty, okay, not the Zhou before, right? Okay, but do you remember Zhou dynasty? I think emperor also came to power through military. He himself Guo Wei is also a military guy. Now, there are a lot of military, also failed one. Okay, do you know a failed case of military coup in Chinese history? Give me one. Okay, let me try. Hong Ying-zi. Can you tell me one that is a failed coup? I don't think that's military coup. Okay. And then the emperor himself was arrested. Okay, so but that would be a successful coup, don't you think? That would not be a failed coup. Do you remember there's an emperor? There was someone who tried to grab power, a general, and then he was hung. He was starved to death in the North and South dynasties. 有听过 North and South dynasty 南北朝？有没有听过有一个皇帝是被饿死的？梁武帝。好 ，good answer。OK， 梁武帝是谁在作乱？侯景有听过吗？有听过吗？侯景 ，OK， 是诸侯的侯嘛，景色的景 ，OK，but fail， OK， didn't. So the military coup is not exclusive Africa, OK. So you want to study, you can go back to Chinese history. There are a lot of military coup as well, okay. And there was also another one, almost like a military coup. In addition to Niger, recently we have Turkey, right? Some of the military officers have been arrested because they plotted to overthrow the government in 2003. And in Turkey, the military had coup in 1960, 71, 80, and then 1997. Okay, the first 3 times they actually just took power. The 4th time they said, well, we are powerful enough. We don't have to physically take power. We just tell the civilian people, Prime Minister, you need to step down. You step down. Okay? So we have one case of that as well in Chinese history. Which one? The military said, Emperor, we're not going to listen to you unless you do certain things. Which one? The most beautiful fat woman in Chinese history. 有没有记得他们什么到四川 right? The military said, we're not going to move unless you kill Yang Guifei. Right? So that's also a soft coup. Because after that, Tang Minghuang says, oh, I'm so sad, I cannot be an emperor. So the son became the emperor, right? So we have a lot of history. So you want to study military coup, there are a lot in Chinese history. Way back from Zhou dynasty all the way to Qing dynasty, there were some failed coup as well. Okay, so let's go back to Ms. Zheng Fang. Next paragraph. Okay, still others. Where is that? Okay, still. Palpable. Okay, so some people say wrong, right? Saying not the best way, but others say, well, that's good, Palpable means what? Well, something can be digested. 可以接受，可以吞得下去的。Okay, presidential, the president peel away, like little by little, right? Peel away the democratic gains that they have in the last year, dissolving the National Assembly. What do you mean by dissolve? 解散. Okay, just saying National Assembly, you're not functioning, go home. Okay, dissolving the National Assembly and the High Court, 最高法院, and pushing a new constitution to extend his term in office, repeal the term limit. Repeal means abolish the term limits and give him authoritarian power. So what do we have? In Africa, lots of presidents love to change the constitution. Okay, they either say, I want a third term. Okay, usually when they say, I want a third term, they will not stop at the third term. They will continue. Only one president said, I want a third term. And after the third term, he stepped down. People say, that's not possible, but it happened once. Once, okay? The president of Namibia, here, this president, the founding father, after 3 terms. After 2 terms, he extended 1 more term, then he stepped down. Most of the time, African leader either get rid of the term limit or just saying, we need a new constitution. And then a new constitution means, all the previous term I served doesn't count. So we start a new one. Okay, so which means another, let's say if it's 6-year term, that means another 12 years, right? But still, I don't know why they will keep this term limit. Like, why don't you, if you want to stay in power, don't pretend to be a Democrat. Just get rid of the term limit. But still, a lot of time, they want to pretend and then change again. Okay, so I don't know why, but they mess with the Constitution so many times. Okay, that's Tanja. Okay, next one. I think we asked Ms. Ong about the last paragraph. Okay, Ms. Ong. The last one.
There is a sense of relief, said ours not the
土豆.
director of radio company, another private radio station. Nile man is in favor of the coup. The people were totally
Hostile.
to
Mamadou. Tanja. Okay. So, what is hostile? Hostile? Hostility? Like if you are a lawyer, right, or a prosecutor in a court, sometimes you have to get the witness to testify. And some witnesses are very hostile. They're not responding to question. What do you mean by hostile?
Shy.
No, not shy. Hostile means like they are very, not very cooperative. They do not want you to ask questions. Hostile, hostility. Okay, let's say China and Taiwan. People in Taiwan, we always feel, there is a hostility from China because they have how many? 1,000 missiles aiming at Taiwan. Threats? No, it's not threat. Just DE. Okay, just having this hostility, hostile. So hostile witness means those witnesses like combating. Like, where were you? I'm not going to answer this. And then the judge will say, you have to answer. Okay, so that kind of witness, okay, hostile witness. So you understand hostility. So next one, we look at the Niger. This one, a coup for democracy. Is it? Which one? Just a second. Which one is the one? Also the next day. Let me see. I think it's all Africa. So what do we do here? Do we do this? I'm using my fingers, for some good purpose. I don't think I can finish this. So how do you do?
Control and
Control,
shift.
shift,
Home.
H, control, home, where is my home? Here. Control, alternate, home.
No, control shift home.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I think, NTHU should be embarrassed with this kind of technology. Okay, Wang Yikai. Yeah. Starting from Niger, when is a coup, not a coup. Yeah. Events.
Events in Niger are unfolding as the classic coup
Data.
after gun battles in the capital. Niamey, President
Mamadou Tanja
was captured by military, including members of his own presidential guard. The instigators have vowed to restore democracy. But can democracy grow from the barrel of a gun?
Okay, so here, a good question being asked. Coup d'etat is almost like coup, but short for coup, okay? Long, it would be coup d'etat, against the state. French word, okay, the state, okay? Something against the state. So here, after gun battle in the capital, the president was captured by the military. His own presidential guard, not very trustworthy, not able to protect him. An instigator, what do we mean by instigator? The one causing problem, creating the problem. Okay, so are the coup leaders. They vow, what do you mean by vow? Did you make your vow 2 weeks ago? No, 10 days ago? On the Valentine's Day? Or you vow to love your girlfriend, all that. 海誓山盟一番. Okay, that's vow, right? But they vow here means they swear they're going to restore democracy. But the question here, barrel of a gun, is a very typical term from China. Okay, what was Mao Zedong saying in China? 枪杆子出政权, right? So 枪杆子出民主. So is it possible that a democracy come from a barrel of a gun, the barrel of a gun? 枪杆子出民主. Okay, so I think this is the big question we need to ask. 陈巧柔有在吗？没有。许安利。
The coup placed the African Union in a dilemma. 2 weeks ago, the AU summit brought in the definition of an unconstitutional change of government to include incumbent leaders using unconstitutional means to stay in power, such as suspending a democratic constitution to avoid presidential term limits.
Okay, so here, the coup put this African Union, like European Union, in a dilemma. All very difficult now, because 2 weeks ago they just said that unconstitutional change of the presidential term also means, to stay power also would be condemned. So suddenly you have someone did that, okay, against the Tanja who did that. So but Tanja said, you just announced this in January, but I changed that back in last year, so I should not be included, right? 应该是这样子吧？这个叫什么东西？中文怎么讲？不溯及既往 right? You don't go back to trace. Just starting from 2010, any unconstitutional change of presidential terms in power should be condemned. But I did it before, so you cannot do it. It's almost like in Taiwan right now, we do not allow polygamy, right? But your grandfather who had 2 wives, are you going to say you should be condemned? No, I mean that's a long time ago, right? So I think that, but still there is a dilemma here. Since you took a stand on this change of constitution, and now someone said we're going to stop that by using military. Okay. 苏佩元在吗？林信南 ，Yeah. When President Tanja.
So President Tanja did precisely last year. Niger's opposition parties called it a coup. The economic community of West African states followed suit and imposed sanctions against Niger. The AU endorsed the stance in October 2009.
Okay, Tanja did that. Okay, you can either pronounce the word as Niger, or you can, be more French, saying Niger. That's Niger. Okay, so in French they pronounce it as Niger. Okay, Niger's opposition party called a coup. Okay, so Tanja, this we call constitutional coup, 宪法政变, because he changed the constitution, right? So opposition accused him of having a coup. Now, ECOWAS, this is the ASEAN in Asia. ECOWAS, West African States, economic community of West African states. The membership from here, Chad, Niger, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Mali, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire here, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, all this Senegal, all this ECOWAS country, 西非经济共同体, right? So they follow suit, okay? And at the time, they follow suit. What do we mean by follow suit? They also call Tanja maneuvering of the Constitution, manipulating the Constitution a coup, right? So they impose sanction against Niger. Niger is like, hey, we didn't have a coup, but we are being put on sanction, 制裁, because people said, you change the Constitution, that's a coup as well. Okay? So that's the, and then AU endorsed last year in October, said, yeah, that's a coup. Okay. So change the Constitution is also a coup here. Zhuang Weixiang. Yeah, next. Having condemned. Counter coup.
This military overthrow is certainly a more textbook case of an constitutional change of government. They have to condemn it. And Jinping, who chairs the African Union Commission, is so clear.
Okay, so if you called it a coup last year, unconstitutional grip of power, right? Means grip on power, means you try to hold on to power. So you have no choice but to say this is a counter coup. What do you mean by counter coup?反政变政变, right? Is that how you translate? How do we translate this? 对抗政变, okay? Something like, okay, I don't like your coup. Your coup doesn't look good, so I have my coup, okay, against this. So that's a counter coup. So military overthrow, more textbook, means what do you mean by a textbook case?
There's many same case before.
Yeah, okay, textbook, a standard case of unconstitutional change of government. Change of constitution probably is not, but right now it's being condemned. They have to condemn. Jinping, this guy has ancestor from Fujian. Okay, I think his father was originally from China, and then married an African, and in Gabon. So he was the foreign minister of this country called Gabon, Japon. 不是 Japon, Gabon. Japon. Okay, so anyway, he is right now serving in the AU, and he chaired the African Union Commission. He said, yes, this is wrong, I need to condemn. Wu Bingyou.
In the long run, this week's coup could be a step towards the restoration of democracy, but that depends on whether its instigators stick to their stated goal of bringing back constitutional rule.
Okay, so how do we say it is a good coup or a bad coup? Almost we have to wait until what did they do next. You know, some people said, oh, we will turn back the power to civilians. You know, restore democratic civilian rule. 文人民主政治. But after 5 years, I don't think we are ready yet. In Chinese history, what do we have? Do you remember this? We have a period of, what's the word? Educating people to learn about democracy. 训政. 中国的训政好长哦. Well, people are still not ready. So keep postponing the election, right? So here, that's one, you know, I'll give you one example. Nigeria, 1979, they gave back power to the civilian government after more than a decade of military rule. And then 4 years later, they said, wow, we didn't realize you're so corrupt, so it intervened again. And then from 1983, they said, we want to return the power. So they tried. The first military leader didn't do too well, and people said, you're too slow, I'm going to have another coup against you, so we can move the pace faster. And didn't happen. Finally, in early 1990, they said, well, we're going to have multi-party democracy. We're going to learn from the United States. So the military said, I'm going to create 2 parties. One a little bit to the left, one a little bit to the right. Okay, and then they have this 2 party running for election. And they have their choice. And then the election result is not their choice. What happened? Oh, doesn't count. This one doesn't count. So going back again for military rule. Okay, so that's a bad coup, we have to say. But some military coup will say, we'll go back to power to the people within a year. If they did that, that's good. Okay, because you have to do something. So anything within a year, that would be good. But mostly like Guinea, December 9, 2008, so 14 months now, haven't done anything. Ivory Coast have been postponed since 2002. Every year, not ready, not ready. Okay, so all these are not good coups. So very few good coups. Okay, when they are willing to step down. The best one is in this country, Mali. Mali in 1991, they have a military coup, and the military guy arranged an election. Touré, or this General Touré, arranged an election, and he himself didn't take off his uniform and put on the jacket, the Western suit. 中文叫做脱下军装，穿上西装。Okay, some of the military said, you know, we can have the election, but I am also interested in running the election. So they became the candidate. That's not a good coup. A good coup means the military said, we're going to stay away from it. We're just going to hand power. So happened in Africa 2 times before. Good coup. Nigeria, this president, former president, called Obasanjo. If you cannot remember his name, just say Obasanjo. But Obasanjo. 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 Okay. His first name is even, what is it? Obasanjo. Suddenly I lost his name. Okay, Obasanjo, he was, in 1979, returned power to the civilian. And people said, wow, what a Democrat. So 20 years later, he ran for president. People said, thank you for giving us at least a hope. So he was elected. Mali's military guy, Touré, in 1991, gave power back to the civilian. And then in early 2000, he was elected. So, if you want to become a president, start a military coup now, but give power back to the civilian. And people say, wow, what a statesman, right? And then 5 years, 10 years later, you become president. Okay, so we have two good coup cases. Okay, so that's a textbook cases. Stage a coup and then not run for president because most of the military officers are tempted to run. Okay, people like from Gambia, okay, this President Jammeh in 1994. How can he not run? I mean, he should not run for that time. You know, in 1994, how old was he? 29 years old. And then, he became president in 1996, 31 years old. Okay, so he's only in his 40s. Do you think he would step down? No, he will be there, for the next 15, 20 years, right? So that's the big problem here for the, change of their goal, whether you're going to bring back constitutional rule or not. 吴梦月。Well, we read that. Next one. It also depends. Unconditionally. Okay. There was some military. They said, we cannot just step down because if we step down, we will be put on trial, right? So they said, let's have an agreement that we will not be tried. Then I'm willing to step down. Otherwise, now Argentina, they did that before. Okay, Chile president made himself senator for life before he stepped down. Okay, so that's what we call condition. And sometimes they are not going to, give back the power to the civilian quickly. They want to taste the power themselves. But if you have international community keep putting pressure, I'm sorry, people put pressure on Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, for the last decade, and they haven't had an election yet. Okay, so that's a big problem. You get a taste of power. What do we call? Power is almost like opium. You're going to be hooked onto it. Once you are enjoying power, you want to have more, like opium. So never try. Okay? So that's the Cai Tun-da. Yeah, next one.
So we cannot justify these things. The problem then becomes how to establish democracy by democratic means. It is a question that has vexed
philosophers
since the French Revolution.
Okay, so let me ask you, when was French Revolution took place? When? The most important revolution in history, right? 1776 1776是美国独立宣言。1789 Okay, 1789. Because what happened after the beheading of Louis XVI? No, 14 is the nice king. No, Louis XIV is the nice king.
But the revolution happened.
No. After he passed away. Yeah. Not him. I'm sorry. Okay, so what happened? French Revolution. You have democracy for a while. You have terror. Then you have Napoleon. So people began to say, you overthrew a existing order. but you have friends always in the next century, back and forth. Republic, monarchy, monarchy, republic, republic, monarchy, monarchy, republic. 要王室还是不要？要不要？不要？要？不要？ Okay, so we don't know, right? So here, I think that's the problem. How do you establish democracy by democratic means? Napoleon, right, tried to have a democracy, and he became emperor. So that Vax philosopher, what do you mean by Vax? Puzzle. Called philosopher said, yeah, how do we do it? So one day on March 2nd, 2010, some NTHU student figured out how to establish democracy with democratic means. Okay, by democratic means, not by coup d'état. Okay, so the question: N cannot justify the means. Okay, what do we mean by that? N cannot justify means. 中文怎么讲？好的目的不能让你不择手段，太差了。有没有好一点翻译？啊，中文有没有这样好一点的？那是正，你是中文系的。Can you enlighten us？ 啊 ？Can you enlighten us？ 啊，启蒙一下，帮我们。该怎么讲？你说，哦 ，My boyfriend loved me so much, he imprisoned me in his apartment, right？ 他非常爱你啊，把你就关在他的小公寓里头，爱到至极。啊 ，Good end means purpose, right? But bad means 手段很恶劣，不好。中文有没有好的吗？翻译没有吗？有什么？这么差吗？Okay, so we have to think about this. Okay, how do you change that? 陈义军 ，yeah. The AU has been.
Grappling with it. Since they've begun to condemn coups in the 1990s. In practice, the AU's Peace and Security Council is developing a set of responses depending on its context. This range from a relatively mild statement of condemnation to suspension of country's membership of the organization to economic
Sanctions. Okay, grappling means dealing with this, right? Since they began to condemn coup in the 1990s. Because before that they don't, okay? So after 1990 they said coup is wrong, but how do you respond? They said, well, we have different kind of response depending on what kind of situation. How bad is the coup, right? If it's good coup, maybe mild statement of saying, oh, you're wrong, don't do it again. Don't do it again, right? Like a parent, if you do something, the parent says, okay, don't do it again. Okay, that's very mild. But some parents just slap your face, right? So here we have, suspension of the country membership of the organization. It's like you are grounded. 你们有没有说做什么事情然后什么禁足的？不准出去了，过了8点钟以后，你看，But life begins after 8. Okay, and then economic sanction 没有零用金哦，经济制裁我不知道你们父母亲有没有做过经济制裁。No, so different depending on how much you violate, right? Okay, next one, 廖航伟。Mediation. Mm-hmm.
Persuade the coup leaders install or introduce constitutional democracy, fair elections, and the process of
legitimation.
Legitimation of a new government.
Okay, what do you mean by mediation? It's not meditation. Mediation. Mediate. You know, in Chinese diplomatic history, when 这里有刘什么？我们那个大魔术师叫刘什么？刘谦，你看。哦，自己在动啊，哦。下次请他来上我们这个节目。Okay, so here, mediation. In China, we don't have we call a history of diplomacy before. So when Chinese learned the term in 19th century, they used the term mediation. They said it's this. Now, what does that mean, 中保? You know, you go to Chinese diplomatic history, 国际法, international law. They said mediation, 中保. What is 中保? Mediation means you are the one in between people. Okay, so mediation 介入啊，调停啊，今天应该叫调停，是吧？But we used to call 中保. So easy. I don't know why you write 调停 so many stroke 啊，看调停多麻烦。每一个都比较多一点。中保。So that's mediation. Persuade the coup leader saying, oh, why don't you restore democracy? You know, and you have to make yourself like legitimation. What do you mean by legitimation? What is legitimate? Legitimate, legitimacy. Okay, for example, if 2-3 years ago or 4 years ago, if we have the Russian armies, they stormed the presidential office, and president was forced to go exile, and then vice president Annette Lu became president. Okay, is she legitimate or not? 她合法正当吗? But she didn't start the Russian army. She was just the beneficiary. 受益者. Okay. Probably not. Okay, so here, legitimation means 合法性很重要. You know, you make legitimate, you make lawful. So what do you do? For example, president of Burkina Faso. You heard of this country now, Burkina Faso. It's still going. Where's mine? Okay, Burkina Faso is here, right? This is the one. The president came to power through military coup. And what did he do? Later he said, oh, you want multi-party democracy and election? You can have one. But he won the election. So he stayed in power for how many years now? 24 years. But he kept winning the election. And then when his term was up, oh, new constitution. Did not come the years before. And then continue to rule. Okay, that's the reason the president of Burkina Faso 4 years ago in 2006 had a celebration of 20th anniversary of his power, coming to power. You know, he came to power through military coup, right? But you know, I went to that conference he organized. The conference on celebrating 20 years of President Cambore's in power. Conference on democracy and development in Africa. Doesn't feel ashamed. You know, 20 years in power, I can talk about democracy. You know, how many people in the West will say, is that embarrassing? You're talking about democracy. You yourself have been in power for more than 20 years. But he said, I have been legitimized. 我已经被合理化。It's okay. Singapore, for example, has this one party in power for how many years now? 50 years. There is no alternation of party in power in Singapore. But People First Party said, people like us. What can we do? They just keep voting us to power, right? Singapore has about 80-some parliamentary seats. If the opposition win more than 3 seats, the ruling party consider a huge defeat. The KMT just lost 3 seats last weekend, right? So this process of legitimation is important. So coup leaders themselves said, you can stay in power if you set up a free democratic election, and you can run if you win. If it's fair and free, then you are legitimized. Okay, so I think that's what they are asking. Let's have the final paragraph. Wang Jianyuan. Okay. To ignore. Instability.
It is dangerous, particularly in a country where the stakes are so high. Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, but it has mineral regions of
Uranian.
uranium, gold and oil. Biological oil is often the only route to unbounded massive countries. Those in government has incentives to the governments and give back more
Lucrative.
mining contract and the rest of the population and the
Okay, first he said to ignore this coup, you will allow a cycle of political instability to set in. But even if you condemn the coup, look, African Union condemned coup in Mauritania, they have another one. And Guinea also had a coup. And I don't think you stop the spread of coup in Africa. You say, oh, that one, look, your neighboring country, they started a coup being sanctioned. Maybe I should think twice. No, they continue to do it. So I don't think that will stop them. But the author said this is dangerous, particularly in a country, the state, what do you mean by the states are so high? Means that something you can have, okay, 赌注, something you can gain so high. Why? Because it's so poor. But Niger is like Congo. They are the poorest country. Or the people are so poor, they call the poorest people sitting on the richest wealth. 坐在宝山上的穷人. What is the 宝山? I think they're waiting for Tsinghua University to develop more nuclear power using their uranium. Okay? They have gold, and China is helping them to develop oil. And political office, okay, in those kind of poor countries, saying you have to have political office in order to gain economic power. In Western society, sometimes, like America, you said you enter politics means you have to sacrifice, what you can earn in the private sector. In Africa, private sector don't have anything. You have to go to the public office. So they go to the public office, and then they can have the access to the revenue, okay, government revenue, and kickback. What do you mean by kickback? You kick something back. What do we mean by that? Bribery, 贿赂, 回扣, okay? Kickback. From lucrative means very good contract with the mining. You said, well, I can allow the foreign company to mine our uranium, but 5% to my own bank account in Switzerland. That's how you get rich in Africa. Okay, control the political office, and then authorize the Western company to mine your resources, and then you get a kickback. Okay, and the rest of the population have very little. So please try to finish this one, only 2 more paragraphs, and then finish the next 2. And 2 weeks from today, you need to turn in a paper. First paper on Coup. Good, bad, should be condemned, or just give your view. What happens if someone is there forever and just won't step down? Even the Pope cannot change the person. Like Ivory Coast, right? Jabo here, the president is a Catholic, so should we ask the Pope to give him some spiritual talk? How do we get rid of them? Military coup should be acceptable. Ends justify the means or not? Okay, yeah. Double space, 2 page. Double space, okay? So if you write, I think if double space, 2 page, 14 size. Okay, I'm getting old. Font, 14. Okay, don't give me 12 right now. I'm getting old. 这个字形是14号。有人不知道14号字形吗？ And please don't use the ugly 细明体。不要用细明体的英文，很难看。Okay. Times New Roman is fine. I love Georgia. What else? Arial? No, I don't like Arial. Don't use Arial. Okay. What's the other one?